Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mark from Solo Games, and today we're going to talk about Lord of the Rings. Wear my Apple shirt today. Every time I wear this shirt, I get a lot of hate in the comments. I think people think I'm an Apple fanboy. Well, guess what? You're right. I am an Apple fanboy. Their stuff just works really well, guys. Sorry. I'm sorry to all the Android lovers. Okay, you like your robots, but you guys know Android debug mode, right? Where the Android is open and whatever it has, you have to fix it. That's honestly how I feel a lot of times when I use my Android. I've only had one Android phone. I had the HTC M8 for a year, and I basically gave that thing up. I thought the phone was pretty good. Visually it looked nice, and the specs are great, but man, it burned hot as hell. Like every single time I try to play any games on there, man, the thing is like burning in the back. I cannot hold on to it. I would burn my hand off. That does not happen with my iPhone. I don't know why. Just the way it is, I guess. So, and also my iPhone, overall doesn't have problems. I know there's a lot of people out there who have problems with their iPhones, but I've never really had any major problems. I've had more problems with my Android back in that 1 year. So that was my 1 year venture into Android. And after that, I went back to iPhone, never even thought about it anymore. And works great with all my stuff. So there's that. Anyways, today's video is not about Android versus iPhone. That's a different conversation. That's a different fight that's over there. Okay. So today we're going to talk about Wizard of the Coast. We're going to talk about Lord of the Rings. Skipping right over Aftermath. Quick comment on the whole Aftermath drama thing that happened with old school MTG. Look, I don't know if the gentleman is telling the truth or not. I remember Saturday I was playing draft. My buddy texts me and says, "Hey, the guy who did the video about opening booster boxes got kind of taken down, and they took all the cards away." Okay, I looked at the video. I looked at his kind of what happened video afterwards, and yeah, I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Wizard of the Coast is not going to let this kind of stuff slide. If they allow this to slide, I mean, it's telling everybody that nothing is going to happen. In fact, I know some other people locally too that ran into some issues with, even filming products openings too early, and then causing problems for the LGS that they work for, etc. I'm not going to name names, but if you guys are local to me, you guys can know what happened, maybe. And that's the thing, this is what I've realized. You don't mess with WotC. Why do you think I changed my logo? Once I got big enough, I realized, oh man, I'm going to get sued if I use some certain imagery, whatever, without copyrights and stuff like that. You just kind of step away. You just do your own thing. Honestly, that's the best way to do it. And the thing is, I'm not very probably not very likable for WotC. So long term, if I say the wrong things or whatever, I'm sure they're going to find all sorts of reason to go after me. Right now I'm pretty small, so it doesn't matter. Let's keep small. Well, it's easier and it's nicer because I can just keep talking about the truth. So let's talk about Lord of the Rings today. I think the first thing I want to say is I see a lot of negativity around WotC in general right now. I mean, big surprise. They're doing all the stupid things. Whether or not you like what they're doing, this is the wrong direction for Magic, those kind of things. Those things don't matter in the long, grand scheme of things. And they definitely don't matter for a large company. We like to say things like vote with your wallet and things like that. I mean, if you've been following around what's happening with the drama over on the Warhammer Games Workshop side about, scalpers buying all sorts of models, and the sites can't stay up and people can't check out, or the carts where you check out or add your items to the cart, they don't lock your item for even 20 minutes for you to check out. That's really bad, right? I mean, basically the feel bad is you hit all the items, you go to checkout, and then you find out at checkout that, it's sold out. You can't buy the stuff anymore. And then you go to eBay and it's double, triple, quadruple the price, right? So it's pretty bad. And, we can talk about things like vote with your wallet, vote with, whatever. The reality is a lot of stores like this or big companies like this, they don't care. I mean, the people who are doing this thing where we vote with our wallet, we're the minority. So, I mean, if you want proof of this, tell me, why are there still jumpstart boxes that come with every set? Those products don't sell. I can tell you right now, distribution is discounting the shit out of those products right now. They do not sell. They have to move them out of the inventory. But WotC still creates one for every set. Why? Now, I have some suspicions that maybe the Aftermath or March of the Machines will be the last set with the Jumpstart set Jumpstart boxes. I could be wrong, but there's that. But they don't really care about your voting with your wallet, whatever. Guy getting his kid into an LGS, they're gonna buy whatever's on the shelf. They're gonna buy the latest products. They don't really care like what the drama behind these kind of things are and all that stuff. So we are the minority. Us not spending money, it's not really gonna cause even a ripple in that pond, right? So there's that. Now, and the other truth is also, guys need cards. So this happened with like Magic 30, but that's the first time, and I was very surprised that we held the line. But man, that was the first time we did anything together. I think partially because those cards weren't even legal. But imagine if those cards were legal, you think people would have held the line? They would have bought this product for sure. Anywho, Lord of the Rings and negativity. I think top of mind, do not let your negativity cloud your decision and logic. This is super key, right? A lot of times people get emotional, and it's fine, you can get emotional, but you get emotional and you make emotional decisions and emotional mistakes, and that's bad, especially when you're doing that with your own wallet, especially when you're doing that with things that you may then later come to regret. And I think that's what this is. Look, if you don't buy Magic products, which I know a lot of my commenters and people who watch my videos don't, that's fine. And you're going to be fine because whatever happens, the price goes up, price goes down, it does not affect you. You're not really part of it. You're coming here, we're having a kind of nice chat, and you enjoy the content, that's fine, that's good. But for the people who do purchase products and people who kind of put their money into things, don't let that negativity cloud your judgment. Because again, a lot of times when it seems the worst, when you think Magic is in the darkest of dark and it's terrible, they're making all the wrong decisions, we can never turn back from this point, oftentimes that is the best point and that is the inflection point that you need to be making financial decisions for the future. A lot of people can't do that, but that's the best time, honestly. You're going to look back probably on this moment, this year, and say, man, I wish I bought some stuff in 2023, right? So why am I highlighting Lord of the Rings for this year? First of all, this is a huge deal. Imagine you're WotC and you want to do a bunch of crossovers with different IPs and stuff. And I know WotC is a big company and Hasbro is a bigger company, so you do have a lot of pull. And Hasbro has like tie-ins with entertainment, so it's not just it's not a nothing for them to go. Sorry, it's not super hard for them to get in contact with people who are in media. However, the Tolkien estate is very picky about who gets their IP and who gets to have their crossover. And the stronger your brand is, the more meaningful your brand is, the more afraid you are of erosion of your brand. So you don't ever see Gandalf selling like popsicle sticks, right? And there's a reason for that. It's because you don't really want erosion of your brand. I mean, maybe there's like specials whenever the movie came out, but it's not like a normal thing where you just have a Gandalf shaped popsicle stick, popsicle, or like Gandalf on a chair or whatever. Just you get what I'm saying. There's things that Lord of the Rings won't collaborate with. Magic getting this IP, Magic getting this collaboration is huge. Number one, they probably paid a lot of money for it, so they're going to be looking at ways to get that money back through us. Number two, they really don't want to screw this up because that will reflect on future collaboration with Lord of the Rings and, dare I say it, Game of Thrones. Any other big IP that may want to collaborate with Magic is very tangential to Magic anyways and could bring a ton of new players to Magic. They're not going to screw this up to then risk those new IP collaborations for the future. Which brings me to the point of today's video, which is do not sleep on Lord of the Rings as a set. Let's talk about what's going to happen with this set. Look, they made a very specific decision, and by they I mean WotC, to print the set into modern. It's not a commander-only set, which I think would have actually made a little bit more sense, but they didn't make it into a standard set, and there's a big reason why. Part of this is because they want to make sure that the cards are at a certain power level. Look, if you print the Lord of the Rings set, if you put Tolkien and the Tolkien Estates IP on the line, you better print cards that are not going to disappoint the players. You don't want Gandalf to be $1 rare on the shelf later, right? That's number one. Number two, printing in modern gives a lot of options to a, maybe somewhat stale format, right? So if we're talking things like soft rotation with Modern Horizons 2 kind of taking over a lot of the modern like meta games, well, they can now use this set to also kind of like, jolt that metagame once more. So think this as Modern Horizons 3. Now, I don't think it's going to be that power level, and I think was it Blake? Somebody on I think it was Blake said it's not going to be Modern Horizons 3 power level. But at the same time, that does not mean there are not going to be cards inside the set that are going to matter for the modern current metagame, because otherwise there's really no point in printing to modern. The third reason why this is printed to modern is because then they could charge a higher price point. Do you guys recall Modern Horizons 2 collector's boosters and how much they were compared to all the collector's boosters around that set? Well, this is the same reason, right? So if they print into modern, they can charge more for that collector's booster because, again, it's modern. Cards are more powerful. They're going to print better cards, so they can say, oh, well, see, like, it's modern format, so the cards are going to be a little more expensive. Have fun. And it's going to happen. No matter how we kind of think about it, they're going to charge more and it will work. That's number one. Now, let's take an angle at the whole Lord of the Rings thing and the serialized cards. One of One Ring, super flavorful. Don't care how much we hate on, Black Aragorn or like Galadriel being dumb or whatever, how far the TV show has gone, whatever. People love the flavor of the set. Okay, the soul rings, the serialized soul rings, Elven ring, Dwarven ring, human ring, super flavorful. Numbers, super flavorful. You have a lot of people. I mean, I was, again, drafting at my friend's house on Saturday. I was talking to some of the people who weren't playing Magic that night, just hanging out. And yeah, they were interested in this set. They were like, hey, when this set comes out, I'm definitely playing it. Because again, they came from that era of nostalgia of old school Lord of the Rings. They probably read the books just like I did when I was a teenager and loved it. That's the people that they're catering to. And now those people have disposable income, so if they can spend $200, $300, $400 on a booster box, totally fine. Or a couple. So that's what they're targeting, and it's going to work. And the lore, the flavor of the set is going to totally be fine. And those people are going to come into the game, and they're going to buy more of this product. Now, let's look at the actual collector's boosters. My opinion, personally, if you're going to put money into the set, you do plan on investing in the set or whatever, or want what's the best bang for your buck. Honestly, even though I know the collector boosters are normally a little bit more expensive, I think that's probably the best bet for this set. A couple reasons. Number one, that's where you're going to find the serialized cards. And even the non-serialized versions of the Soul Rings are going to be in the collector's boosters only. So you're kind of looking at like that being the only product that's really going to matter. That's number one. Number two, let's talk about how this whole One Ring situation is going to happen, right? So if you look at like the three categories of people who would care about the One Ring and how this would happen, my suspicion is actually the One Ring will not be found at all. And the reason I say that is because let's take this situation, right? So you have a 1/3 of the people, or maybe a quarter of the people, who don't know what's going on with Magic, don't know what's going on with One Ring, whatever. They open this booster box and they don't even know what they opened, and so they, throw it away, put it into some shoebox, whatever, and that sits there for years and years and years until somebody else, whatever, who picks it up, finds it, that kind of thing. Totally could happen that way. So it gets lost and we don't know about it. It could never be open, right? So there's stores, there's a lot of collectors, private collectors, whatever, who will take a booster box and just not open it, or 24 or 60 of them, right? They just kind of sit somewhere in a warehouse somewhere. That's totally possible. The One Ring could be at somebody's, collection and just never get opened. Number three, as a lot of you know, there are a lot of people who are putting these bounties on the ring. And if you look at the stipulations for the bounties, it's not like I'm going to publicly buy this ring. They're saying if you have the One Ring, sell it to me, I'll pay you the money, but we stay quiet about it. So the bounty also buys silence. And there's a big reason for that. If you think about it, this is information asymmetry. If you know that the One Ring is already found, then you know every single box that's out there do not have the One Ring, right? So your value for every single box is much lower than what probably the market will value them. And if you somehow could scoop up those products very quickly at a certain price, you also know every single booster, collective booster, because there's a limited print run of them, especially with serialized cards. Every single collective booster box that gets opened and does not find a One Ring means the remaining collective boosters all will go up in price. Now, since we don't know what WotC's like print run numbers, whatever, we don't actually know exactly how many rings are out there, how many collective boosters are out there, haven't been found. However, we do kind of have data and we can see other people opening, and as time goes on, my suspicion is that collector's booster, it can only go one way. People can open it, they can't reseal it, right? So it's going to get opened, and there's less and less of that on the market, which means everybody who has remaining sealed products each one of their product will go up. Now, it's kind of up to the person who, has the One Ring to announce whether they have it or not. But let me ask you a question. If you have the One Ring, right, would you really tell other people about it too? Especially if you are one of those people who's paying a bounty for it, right? So here's what happens. A person who's paying that kind of bounty for One Ring, they're going to open a bunch of boxes themselves, of course, because they have the money. But they're also doing this because they want to kind of corner the market. Imagine someone else opens the box, and that person would totally have gone on to YouTube and said, hey, I opened this thing, whatever, or Twitter or whatever. But instead they said, well, for $100,000, for $1 million, I'm going to sell this to somebody and stay quiet, right? Because it's part of the stipulation. That's financially very reasonable. So that's what they're doing. They're making this happen. And now, if that person has thousands of booster boxes, they can start selling those for a much higher price because all they have to do is just wait. They don't even need to do anything. If you have the One Ring and a bunch of sealed booster boxes, heck, dude, if I have the One Ring and the sealed booster boxes, other than basically my friends that might know that I have a One Ring, no one else in the world is going to know. I'm not really going to share. Probably. Am I that evil? I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I'll figure it out. Okay, I'll figure out. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to really know because I'm probably not going to open any collector's boosters, and I'm definitely not putting a bounty out there for this thing. So, hey, but again, I'm putting myself in the shoes of the people who are paying that kind of money. They don't just pay that kind of money to, have fun. They're doing it for financial reasons. They're looking to double, triple their own money. So there's that. Then you have the last 25%, which is the people who are going to open this at LGS or your streamers, your whatever, chasing the One Ring, that kind of stuff. I mean, this content is going to go on for a long time. People are going to keep opening collector's boosters, chasing for the One Ring. You might even have big channels like Star Cities or whoever doing this stuff live, right? And on stream and that kind of stuff, on video, etc. So there's a lot of people out there who's going to do this, but let me tell you, look, 75% of the people are probably going to find the One Ring and that thing will never come to light. Only 25% chance that this thing gets found by one of these people and it actually shows up. So comes to the conclusion, which is if you hold the collector's boosters long term and you're more likely that the One Ring doesn't get found, you don't even need to have the One Ring and your boxes will still go up, right? So you can just kind of ride on the coattails of the guy who is being devious, or maybe the collector who has the One Ring in a wall somewhere, sealed in China, or the last person who, like some kid at Walmart opened up a collector's booster and threw the card away because it didn't look like a magic card. All those cases will make your packs more valuable. And here's the other thing too, right? WotC kind of figured this stuff out too. If you think about financially how this works, Neon Dynasty is where they try these super high rarity cards that are not that great. And what does that do to the collector's boosters? Well, it boosts the value of the collector's booster. Now, there's suspicion that there was a second print run of Neon Dynasty collector's boosters. Who knows, right? I don't actually know what happened, but again, given what we saw, given the price up and then down and then now going back up again, it works. Now, it doesn't work super great because the problem becomes, how many Hidetsugus are out there? We don't know, right? How many of the super rare one are out there? We also don't know. And that's a big problem. So then WotC tried something else for Dominator United. They decided, what if we just inject like $1.7 million of Legends booster boxes into Dominator United? Can we sell more boxes, right? If you're WotC, think about it this way. You could have taken this $1.7 million, done a lot of different things with it. You could have sold the boxes. You could have auctioned it. You could have donated it. There's a lot of ways that you can basically make this very profitable for you. But instead, they spent staff hours to open boxes and then insert these cards into collector's boosters for Dominator United. And it didn't do anything for the boxes. The boxes didn't go up. They didn't really tank. Actually, there was a time when they tanked quite a bit, actually. So, look, the whole problem is that, well, it didn't really push the boxes up higher. And so Dominator United also kind of suffered, even though the cards are super rare. I think the problem is because while the cards are rare, there is a known quantity and there are other ways to obtain that card. I mean, like personally, I have a Tabernacle, so I don't really care to open another one in a Dominator United collector's booster, and I'm not going to chase for that either because it's super unlikely. However, that's the problem, is that the card isn't super rare. It may be super rare in Dominator United collector's booster boxes, but somebody could just take cash on the open market, go buy it. So there's a value, there's a number set for that card. Then we come to serialized cards in Brothers War. And this is where WotC really puts their, basically tests out the whole idea of like what happens when we make super rare cards, but we tell people how many we're making. And now, I mean, we've done it. Serialized cards from Brothers War, your Ichor Wellspring, your Ivory Towers, like, the cards are not super highly desirable, like, instead of like Worm Coil Engine type of things, Mox Amber, they still sell for like, on average, $500-ish. Now, the sell-through rates are pretty low because I think a lot of people were thinking like, why pay $500 for that card when I could get something else? But they do sell through. And the more surprising part is these things, which may not even be more rare than Invocations or Kaladesh Inventions, are selling for way more than those cards. Because if you take a mid-tier Kaladesh Invention, or just take the average, right? Average Kaladesh Invention is probably going to be around like the $50 to $100 range. Those cards may be even more rare than the serialized cards from Brothers War. They're also older from a set that you probably can't get too many boxes of, and the box prices have already gone up, and those cards can't even hold price against the Brothers War serialized cards. What does that tell you about serialization? It tells you that it's going to be very successful. So why would WotC stop doing serialized cards? And that's why we get to this point with Lord of the Rings. Putting a 1-of-1 ring into the box costs WotC probably very little money. Let's say we increase the amount of money a little bit because they have to put advertising around it, but it's still not that much money, right? However, they can generate so much value out of it simply because they can now essentially create value out of thin air. And adding that to the booster boxes will really try to sell or help to sell those booster boxes. And so if you're looking at it from this perspective, like we oftentimes get angry with all those things. But remember, WotC is just a company and they have to deliver results. And the pressure on their back is way higher than other card companies simply because they're a subsidiary of Hasbro, who is losing money almost everywhere else except Wizards of the Coast. And so they have high pressure to keep bringing in more money to cover for the bleeding that's happening elsewhere in Hasbro. That's the problem. So looking at the set, looking at all this stuff, we can be all negative, but I'm telling you, the financial decisions, the way that WotC has to think through this, the way that they have to maintain this IP for future potential collaborations with other bigger IPs, they basically can't let the set fail. And if they can't let this set fail, well, guess what that's going to do for the set for you if you were to put any amount of money into it. And I mean, honestly, all this video so far has just been talking about what happens if everything goes normal with what we know about the set currently. There's still a lot of cards to be spoiled, so the set could be way better than we think it is. And what if they just limit that collector's booster run just by a little bit more? What does that do with the price? Longer video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I think honestly, I'll repeat it again. Don't let negativity cloud your logic. When you make decisions, try to make them with logic, try to think through problems, and don't let emotion control how you make a decision. Oh, I guess before I forget, another thing about this set that's really going to be crazy is the fact that most of these cards can't be reprinted easily because they are artwork for Lord of the Rings, and they're essentially going to be a little bit more reserve listy because of that, not even including serialized cards. So any of this cards long term, the best that what Wizard of the Coast can do will be making some sort of skin for it, like they did with all the Street Fighter sets, etc. But as we've seen, those things don't deteriorate the original. Like, with the Street Fighter Secret Lair being reprinted into the list, it has tanked the price for some of those cards. But honestly, people still just want Ryu. They want Chun-Li. They want like the original cards. I think that's going to happen even if they print a lot of the cards in this set for like through the list or whatever other format, Secret Lair, etc. Some people are still going to want the Frodo card. They're still going to want the Golem card. They're still going to want Gandalf, right? And that's what's going to hold the set up long term. So do not sleep on Lord of the Rings set. I believe a lot of people are being too negative about this set. And honestly, you're going to make a big mistake. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. But only time will tell. So maybe we should look at this video in 2-3 years and see if I was wrong or right. Mark Solar Games. For that purpose, I'm recording on the 24th of April. That's Monday of 2023. So high future Mark, 2025 Mark. Let's see if I was right or wrong. Solar Games, Mark, signing out. Stay classy.